Okay, this is the next video in our continuation of our AWS practice series. I think this is the fourth test, and this is also have 65 questions. So let's try to attempt, and we will go to know at the end of the video only, like how much we, we are like we make it correct and what are the wrong. So let's attempt question number one. Which of the following the part of the AWS global infrastructure? So VPC is region subnetting region, VPN is region. So region is a global infrastructure. An IT company is on a cost optimization spree and wants to identify all EC2 instances that are underutilized. Okay, which AWS service can be used off the shelf? So there is an IT company. They have some EC2 instances and they want to check which EC2 instances are underutilized. So how they can do without manually configuration? So first one is the budget is just for the alerts. So that is wrong. CloudWatch is to store the log. That is also wrong. So we have three options left and we have to select two: Cost Explorer, AWS Cost and Usage Report, AWS Trusted Advisor. So Trusted Advisor is definitely correct because Trusted Advisor is like one of the service in the AWS which will help you to cost optimization, performance, security, so many things. So that is the correct answer. And out of the AWS Cost Explorer, so Cost Explorer is also like one of the services. If you open that, you will able to see okay how much there is some beautiful GUI. You able to see which AWS service you have used or which is like underutilized. So these two looks correct. Reports are like just like in the very detailed report only. A leading research firm needs to access information available in old patents and documents such as PDF, text file, Word document, etc. Present in its huge knowledge base, the firm is looking for a powerful search tool that can dig into those knowledge and return the most relevant file document. Okay, so they're like some knowledge base, have some PDF, text file. They want to create some search tool so that like anyone type the keyword or some they will get some like a relevant result. So let's try to eliminate some options. So lex is the like the lexical uh, service. So lexical means like related to the speech and the text. So that is wrong. Uh, Personalize is like when you like running any like operating any Amazon website. So you get the recommendation, the personal recommendation. So that is a personal personalize. It's not a search service. That is also wrong. Comprehend, like I'm not sure, but Kendra is like generally for the knowledge base only. So that is the correct answer. Which AWS service can be used to automate code deployment? So to EC2 instance as well as automate code deployment is a code deploy. Which AWS service will you use to privately connect your VPC to Amazon S3? So VPC to the Amazon S3 privately connect. So using the VPC endpoint gateway. So direct connect is to connect your own premises to the AWS. Transit gateway is to connect a different VPC. API gateway is like one of the services through which we can like forward the APIs. So the only option is left the VPC endpoint gateway. Which of the following improves the availability of a fleet of EC2 instances? So availability. So how it will be available if we deploy into the multiple zones? Deploy the EC2 instance in the same availability zone? No. Across different AWS region and same availability zone? No. In the same availability zone? No. Across different availability zone? That is correct. A financial service company must meet compliance requirement that mandates storing multiple copies of data in geographical distance location. As the company use S3 as its main storage service, which of the following represent the most resource efficient? So used same region replication. So same region replication, if they use same region replication, then how it will go to the, because they want to store the copies to the geographical distance location. So that is a different region. So same region replication doesn't look correct. Cross-region application is correct. If they enable the cross-region application, automatically the data will get replicated. Run a daily job, so this is not a resource efficient solution. For every new object, trigger a Lambda function, so this is also not a efficient solution. A multinational company has its business critical data stored on a fleet of EC2 instances in various countries configured in region-specific compliance rule. To demonstrate compliance, the company need to submit historical configuration on a regular basis. Which AWS service? So CloudTrail, just to see who hit which API. Mac is the machine learning. AWS config guard duties to prevent, to detect the threat. So config looks the correct offering because they have to detect the configuration. A startup wants to set up its IT infrastructure on AWS cloud. The CTO would like to receive detailed reports that break down the startup AWS cost by the hour in S3 bucket as the cloud practitioner which AWS service you would recommend. Budget is for the alerts or wrong. Pricing calculator just to calculate if they want to move to the AWS, then like we have to compare if we move to the from on-premise to the AWS, so what could be the the cost difference? So that is for this. And cost explorer and the cost and the usage reports. And the CTO wants the detailed report, so we can go with the AWS cost and the usage report. A development team is looking out for a forum where the most frequent question and request from AWS customer are listed. So that is the knowledge center, not a marketplace, not a dashboard, not a support center. That is a knowledge center. AWS Trusted Advisor analyze your AWS environment and provide best practice recommendation. So Trusted Advisor is a service which will give you us the recommendation in 4 to 5 categories. One is a cost optimization, one is a service limit, one is a performance, one is the security. So these two looks the correct answer, and we need to select the two only. Which AWS Route 53 routing policy would you use when you want to route your traffic in an active passive configuration? Active passive configuration means one service is active and other is passive, and it will route to the another. Once the active will become not working, so it will move to the passive and the passive will become active. So basically in the failover condition. So that is the failover routing policy. An IT company would like to move its IT resource, including any data and application. So they want to move the data and application as well from an AWS region in the US to another AWS region in Europe. So they want to move some region to some another region. Which of the following represent the correct solution? And they want from US to Europe. Okay, the company should raise a ticket. So wrong. The company should use database migration service. So database migration service is just to migrate the data, not for the applications. The company should use cloud formation. So cloud formation is used to create the resources, not for the data migration. A company should start creating the new resources in the destination and then migrate the relevant data and application. So that looks correct. A customer is running a comparative study of pricing model of Amazon EFS and EBS that are used with the Amazon EC2 instance with the host that host the application. Which of the following statements are correct? Okay, so EFS and EBS. Okay, Amazon EBS snapshot store pricing is based on amount of the space you data consumed in EBS. Okay, with AWS backup, you pay only for the amount of EFS backup storage. Amazon EBS snapshot are stored incrementally. So this looks correct because so you take a snapshot, it will come. Then you take the another snapshot. So only it will take an increment and only the next block will be added. So that is an incremental snapshot, which means you are built only for the change block store. That is look correct. Amazon EC2 data transfer charge will apply for all EBS direct API for snapshot. Okay, you will pay for each time you read from or write data in EFS infrequent access storage class. So infrequent access storage we need to pay. Okay, that looks correct. So in some of the question some are we get confused. So try to eliminate the options, or maybe out of 4 we can eliminate at least one. An IT company has a hybrid cloud architecture and it's want to centralize the server logs for EC2 instance and the on-premise servers. So centralize the logs. So we have used the AWS Lambda wrong, use the CloudTrail wrong. So use the CloudWatch logs for both EC2 and the on-premise server. Which of the following are the recommendation best practice for AWS IAM service? Okay, enable MFA for all user. So if in this question, let's suppose we don't know, actually try to eliminate enable MFA for all user, or we don't know whether it's correct or wrong. Okay, create a minimum number of accounts and share those account credential. So this is totally wrong. Why we share the account credentials, right? So B is wrong. Share AWS account root user access with other administrators. So that is also wrong. Why we share our root user access? So second and third are wrong. Now only three options left, and out of three, two should be correct. Grant maximum privilege to avoid assigning privilege again. So that is wrong. We need to grant minimum privilege. So only first and the last option left. Which feature of AWS Cloud offer the ability to innovate faster and rapid? Faster is agile only, agility. An IT company has deployed a static website on S3, but the website is still inaccessible. Okay. So how do you address the issue? So if it is inaccessible, there should be some policy. So we need to fix the policy. It's not versioning, it's not replication, it's not encryption, it's a policy because it is inaccessible. Which AWS service will you use if you have to move large number of on-premise data to AWS cloud? So transit gateway just to connect the VPC. Direct connect is just a connection. But VPN is like to connect from on-premise to the to AWS cloud. Or and AWS Snowball. So Snowball is a the huge service. So there is a three types we have covered in one of the videos. So Snowball generally used to transfer a large number of data from on-premise for to the AWS cloud. Amazon CloudWatch billing metric data is stored in which AWS region? So in by default, if we just log in into the AWS console, the first time the by default region is the US East one, that is the North Virginia region. So in this, it will going to store. A research lab wants to optimize the caching capabilities for its scientific computation application running on EC2 instance. Which EC2 storage should be used for the better? So they want to caching capabilities. So we can't use EBS, EFS, S3. We have to use the instance store, and that is also for the scientific computation, the caching, because instance store we can attach with the EC2 within the EC2. As a cloud practitioner, which S3 storage class would you recommend for data archival? We need to archive, so that is a Glacier. A medical device company is looking for a durable and cost-effective way of storing their historic data. Due to compliance requirement, data must be for 10 years, so that is a deep archive. Which of the following AWS entity provide the information regarding to launch and EC2 instance? So to provide to the information required for to launch any sort of we need the AMI. Gmail is which Gmail is a software as a service. Compared to the on-demand premise, which of the highest possible discount to the reserve? So to the reserved distance is generally like we get approximately 75. So the nearest option is 72. AWS identity and access management policies are written in JSON. Okay, which of the following are the mandatory? So if we have to assign some policy, write some JSON policy document, there are two fields are mandatory. That is the whether we want to allow the action or deny the action. So that is the effect. So second option is wrong, and fourth option also effect should be the correct answer as an action. If we are allowing it, then what action? Whether we use the delete action or write action. If we're denying it, and then on what action? So effect and the action are the correct. Which AWS service can be used for online analytics processing? So and for wherever you see the analytics processing, we should go with the warehouse. So Redshift is the the warehouse database service. A cybersecurity agency use AWS cloud and want to carry out security assessment. So generally we see the security assessment, we go with the Amazon Inspector, but the question is, but Amazon Inspector is an automatic tool. It automatically do the security assessment. But the question says the cyber security team wants to carry out. So they wants to carry out. So that is the penetration testing. Which of the following is the best way to protect your data from accidental deletion? So configuration acceleration class is no S3 versioning. So if we create a version of the S3, so whenever you store any data, it will create a version. If you override the data, it will create one more version. So if even accidentally delete, we can restore from the version. Which AWS service can help you create data-driven business used for transitioning your business from on-premise to AWS cloud? So I don't know what could be the answer, but let's try to eliminate. So trusted advisor is one of the service just to cost of which will just give the recommendation, but the question doesn't look like. Budget is for the alert. Billing and the cost management is totally different. AWS migration evaluator. And question looks like this only, which AWS service can help you to create data-driven business cases for transitioning, maybe migration. So I will go with the fourth. So there could be some question, one, two question, which we don't know, so try to eliminate. Which of the following statements are correct regarding security group and NACL? So security groups are only applicable with the EC2 instances, and network and NACL are applicable on the subnet level. So a security group is stateless, that is return traffic must be explicitly allowed. So that is totally correct. Basically, if we allow some outbound connection, so if any request is coming from EC2 to outbound to particular any server, so we will get the response. So if we have to get the response, so return traffic. So return traffic is automatically allowed. NACL contains a number list of rules and evaluate these rules in the increasing order while deciding whether to allow the traffic. So correct. So in the NACL, whenever we define the rule, so we have to give the number, and so that is the priority number. So basically, and on the basis of that, it will decide the rules. Which of the following are the correct statement regarding the AWS shared responsibility model? AWS is responsible for security of the cloud. So correct. AWS is responsible for training. No. Configuration management is responsible to the customer. No. It is the responsibility for AWS and the customer both. For abstraction services like Amazon S3, AWS operate the infrastructure layer, the operating system and platform. So this looks correct. For a service like Amazon EC2, AWS is responsible for maintaining guest operating systems. So no. So this looks correct. AWS hardware failure is impacted one of your EBS volume, which AWS service will alert you. So using the personal health dashboard, we can go to know what are the failure and which is impacting our service. Which S3 storage class offer the lowest availability? So generally, S3 bucket classes are highly available, like 99.99% available. But the lowest availability, so lowest is a one zone infrequent. So I think this is 99.95. So basically there will be 0.04% chances when you want to access this, and it is unavailable from the AWS side. Which of the following capabilities does Amazon recognition? So recognition is a machine learning service. So identify objects in a photo, so that is definitely correct. It's recognize. Convert, no. Resize, no. Human pose detection, no. So identify objects. Data encryption is automatically enabled. So automatically enabled in Glacier, fine. EBS volume, no. Redshift, no. Storage gateway, correct. EFS, no. Which of the following are the component of the AWS site-to-site VPN? So there are two components basically. That is the customer gateway and the virtual private gateway. So customer gateway is the gateway on the customer side, so the on-premise side, and the virtual private gateway on the AWS side. Which pillar of the AWS well-architected framework recommends maintaining infrastructure as a code? So there are 6 pillars. So infrastructure as a code is like the operation. So the operation, we want to some operation. Which of the following is the AWS? So AWS Shield is for the DDoS attack. It will prevent from the DDoS attack. If you look at the option, only one option has the DDoS attack. What is the primary benefit of deploying the RDS database in the read replica? So there are three things. Like if the question says if we deploy the database in the multi zone, so then the answer should be availability. And if they deploy the database in the different region, then answer should be failure. If they're just creating the read replica, the answer should be scalability. Which of the following use case is best suited for EFS, infrequent access storage class? Okay. Use a boot volume for highly available, no. Object, so EFS is the file storage system. So use a boot volume, no. Object storage, this is not object storage, this is a file storage. Storing files, okay. Storing data in a single availability zone, so no. EFS is for the multiple availability zone. So storing files looks correct. And also it is like infrequent access. Infrequent access means like we are storing maybe like once in a year we want to access the data. So we can store our audit requirement files in this class, because like audit is going to happen like once in a quarter or half yearly or yearly. Which AWS service can be used to execute code trigger by new files being uploaded to S3? So that is the Lambda. A company has a static website hosted on an S3 bucket in an AWS region in Asia. Although most of the users are in Asia, now it wants to drive growth globally. How can you improve the global performance? So it is a static website. So if you want to improve the performance, we can use the CloudFront, because CloudFront we can like put on the edge location, and all the like images, GIF, we can put on the edge location, because these are the static. It is not going to change. So why, if the user is on like these are in the Asia, so if some user in the Europe, so why they send the request to Asia first, just for the static thing, so they can do the caching at their edge. So you can use the CloudFront. A financial service enterprise plans to enable MFA for its employees. For ease of travel, they prefer not to use any physical device. Okay. So hardware is a physical device, U2F is a physical device, virtual MFA device they can use. Which AWS support plan guaranteed a case response time of 15 minutes during critical business? So that is the enterprise. Because none of the other plan will give you the guarantee of like response time 15 minutes. Enterprise will give you the guarantee. And AWS organization maintain a separate VPC for each of department while expanding business. Now the organization want to connect VPC. So to the connect VPC, there are two things. One is the VPC peering, one is the transit gateway. But the question is which AWS service had to tackle the issue effectively. So if you connect VPC peering, so one VPC to another, the another to another, so there will be a very kind of mesh thing. So transit gateway is like the star topology they will follow. So that will be the very efficient way. We already covered in one of the video. Which of the following statement is correct regarding the AWS EFS storage service? Okay. EC2 instance can access files on EFS file system on availability zones, region, and VPC. That is correct. According to the AWS shared responsibility model, which of the following are the responsibility of customer? Enable data encryption of data stored in S3 bucket. Operating system patches. Global network security, no. Compliance validation of cloud infrastructure, no. Ensuring AWS employee cannot access customer data, so no. So first two looks correct. Which AWS service protects your AWS account by monitoring malicious activity and detecting threats? So that is the guard duty. So by even the guard, so you remember using the security guard, so they will like detect the incoming threats. AWS Lambda pricing is based on which of the following criteria? The size of the deployment package, definitely not. The runtime, no, because like it doesn't mean like if we are running in a Python or Go or Java, the price will be different. No. The number of requests of the Lambda function, correct. The number of lines of code, no. The time it taken to the Lambda function to execute, so that's correct. Which AWS service can be used as in memory? with high performance and low latency. So in memory is the elastic cache. So rest of the not the in memory. Which of the following statement correct about the AWS auto scaling group? Auto scaling group scales out and add more EC2 instances to match and increase. Correct. Auto scaling group scales in and reduce the number of EC2 instances to match a decrease. Okay. Auto scaling down and downgrades. So no. Upgrade no. Scale down and reduce the number of EC2 instances. So scale in, scale down, scale out, scale in, scale out. So this looks correct. So first two look correct to me. Which of the following AWS service are regional in scope? Okay, so Lambda is a region specific, and IAM is a global, CloudFront is a global, Recognition is a region, but WF is also global. Which AWS can provide a general architecture guidance on how service can be used? So how service can be used is just like general advice, how I can use a service. So it covered in the, like a developer plan as well. A researcher, a research group wants to provision an issue to instance for a flexible application that can be interrupted. Okay. As a cloud practitioner, which would recommend the most cost? So if the application can be interrupted, we will go with the spot instances. And because it is like most cost efficient and can be interrupted at any time. Which of the following AWS service specialize in data migration from on-premise? So data migration service and the Snowball. So rest is not a data migration service. That is just the connectivity service. A startup run its proprietary application on Docker containers. As a cloud practitioner, which AWS service would you recommend so that the startup can run containers, okay, and still have access to the underlying server? So ECR just to store the images, Fargate, okay, to run the container. Lambda is wrong, ECS. But in the Fargate, we can't access the underlying EC2 instances. So we will go with the ECS. Which of the following AWS service offer block level storage? That is the EBS, even with the name Elastic Block Storage, and the instance store. S3 is the object storage, EFS is the file storage. That is the ES is not even a storage, it's a container service. And AWS user is trying to launch an EC2 instance in a given region, which is the region specific constraint for the AMI that can must meet so that it can be used for the EC2 instance. Okay, and AMI is a global entity. No, it is a region specific entity. You should use AMI from the same region as it improves the performance. No, we should use from the same region, but there is nothing related to the performance. You must use an AMI from the same region as the region of the AMI has no bearing over the performance. So correct. An e-commerce company uses AWS cloud and would like to receive separate invoice for development and production environment. So they want separate billing for development and the production. So how they can do? Create separate AWS account. So that is fine. If there are two different accounts, we will get the two billings. Use AWS organization. No, totally wrong. Because the organization concept, we have the central billing concept. AWS Cost Explorer. So no. Tagging just for our purpose, not for the like it will not going to generate any invoices. Which budget types can be used under AWS budget? Okay, software budget, no. Hardware budget, no. So we have to select three, only four left. Resource, usage, reservation, and cost. So usage, how much use, how much cost, and how much like reserved. Which AWS service support high availability by default? So high available. So high available is a availability is the EFS because it's highly available because it's in the multi availability zone, and DynamoDB is also in the multi availability zone by default. Which of the following statement true about the cost allocation tags in AWS billing? You must activate both AWS generated tags and the user defined tags separately before they can appear in the cost explorer. Correct? Only user defined tag? No. For each resources, each tag key must be unique but can have multiple values. No, it has should be single value. Tags help in organizing resources and mandatory configuration item to run reports. No. For each resource, each tag key must be unique and each tag can have only one value. Correct. Under the AWS shared responsibility model, what is the responsibility of the customer regarding Lambda function? Maintaining version of the Lambda function is our responsibility. Network infrastructure, no. Underlying patching, no. Maintain runtime environment, no. So finish the test. So we have one question wrong. So let's see what is the wrong. Incorrect. Okay, so this is the wrong. Which of the following statements are correct regarding the security group and network? So we select security group is stateless. That is, return traffic must be explicitly. Oh, I read it wrong. It should not be explicitly allowed. It is automatically allowed. A security group is stateless, and it automatically allows the return traffic. Because if we allow the outbound traffic, we are sending the request to the outside. So definitely we will get the response, response automatically. So outbound traffic should be like automatically, like return traffic is automatically allowed. So that is fine. So that is our mistake only. And yeah, that's it. So that's the end of the video. Thank you.